Hey everybody, this is Dylan with Bourbon United. I'm here with Jenni O'Neil
Hi.
at Jenni King. So we just wanted to meet with you and talk to you and learn a little bit about your story and your battle with cancer and your connection to Jenni King and the Bourbon Raffle, and kind of tie it all in with what Mary Bear Perkins did for you and how they were able to help you through your treatment and get you on the other side of that fence and be able to ring the bell.
Awesome. Yeah, lovely. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess to start way back, my name is Jenni O'Neil. My husband works here at Jenni King, and he has so for about 20 years. And actually, he started here right about the time we got married. So, we've been part of the Jenni King family for a while, and that's kind of how they are involved in all of this. But a little bit about us. We are college sweethearts.
Okay.
We got married. We have 2 kids. Jonathan is actually about to be 22 years old, and Jolie is 14. How this all kind of starts. My grandfather passed away with cancer when I was 19 years old. He had pancreatic cancer. And it was very quick, and at the time there just weren't a lot of options for him. And that one's very deadly anyway, but it's a cause that we, would take up. We used to raise money like for the American Cancer Society in his name, and we did a lot of that. Fast forward, not long after I graduated college, I got a job at Mary Bear Perkins, fundraising for the Covington and Hammond Centers, and that's how I got introduced to Mary Bird. I didn't know about it when my grandfather was sick. And I met so many wonderful people and really learned a lot about, everything they did. And it felt good to have that job there because I felt like I was also honoring my grandfather and helping other people that, were diagnosed like him. I stayed about a year because my daughter came along and I wanted to focus on being a mom. But fast forward to, I think Jolie was 4. So 4 to 5 years later, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I was 33 years old. It was stage 2. And my world just kind of blew up. We didn't have a family history of breast cancer. My grandfather had pancreatic, but so it really came out of the blue, plus I was so young.
Yeah.
But after the dust settled for a minute and I could collect my thoughts, the first person I could think to call was Mike Miranda at the Mary Bird in Covington, because we had such a wonderful relationship. And I was like, Mike, what do I do? Because I didn't even know what to do first. And it's all so overwhelming. And he was so wonderful, and he got me in with Dr. Socks. He got Dr. Socks actually to call me from a medical conference in Chicago to tell me, it's gonna be okay, we're gonna get you in, and da-da-da. So I did do my due diligence. I went to several different doctors in the area. I even had an appointment to go to MD Anderson. But after meeting with Mary Bird and then also a local surgeon, I felt, this was like the best case scenario. I could get exactly what I needed. I wouldn't have to go relocate to Houston and do all that. My children were young. Jolie was 4 in pre-K and Jonathan was 10. So that was important to me to be able to still be home, to be, a mom. So my first appointment with Dr. Socks, I'm sure you've met him by now, you see what a character he is. But
what a character!
He brought a lot of levity to it, which was nice. But the first thing he said to me when he walked through the door of my appointment was, "This is bullshit, and we're going to take care of it." And I believed him. And so, he created my whole treatment program, which included chemotherapy first, which at the time was a little different. Then I would have surgery. And then at that point, after, we would determine if I needed radiation. But everything was so successful after the chemotherapy and surgery that I didn't end up needing it. So that was such a big blessing. It was about a year from start to finish with all the surgeries and the chemo and everything, but I was so grateful for the care I received during that time. My husband and I were fortunate. We, had great insurance and things like that, and we had a huge support system here. So we didn't have to utilize like the pantry, the therapeutic food pantry, or the like they do a lot of things that can help people that aren't in such a great position. Yeah, but the gas cards, all of those things. But I'm so grateful that those people have that,
Yeah,
So I didn't have a lot of hurdles to complete treatment, and not having that, I can't even tell you, is such a weight.
Yeah.
You have so many things you're trying to balance through a cancer diagnosis and treatment, that not having to worry about it, just one of those things,
All the little details. Yeah.
is a blessing. So anyway, chugging along, and
What year was that?
2014. It was September 2014 is when I was diagnosed, and I started treatment in October.
So 2 young kids.
Mm-hmm.
2014, 2015. All right, painting the picture, and y'all live local to the Hammond Pastoral area.
I was born and raised here in Hammond and Tangipahoa Parish, and so yes, we were here.
And the hospital being right there in Covington, so you were able to stay local, at home with the kids.
Yes.
So that's another blessing too, right?
It really, really was. I can't tell you, just in general, I always say I felt like I was surrounded by so much love during that time.
Yeah.
Our children went to a private Catholic school at the time, and like the way they rallied around us, the way those teachers and administration took care of my kids, all those things. I mean, we just felt very loved and supported, and that makes a difference too.
Huge, yeah.
Felt the prayers, honestly. So I was about 4 or 5 years post-diagnosis when I get a call from Erica Kelt, who is the director of philanthropy for the North Shore. She was just starting out at Mary Bird, and she wanted to meet me because she knew my story, first as someone who worked at Mary Bird and then as a cancer survivor. And so she wanted to meet me, and I loved her instantly, and I've been volunteering for Mary Bird ever since. So it's been fun.
Your treatment, how long did that last?
About a year.
Okay, full year between chemo and radiation.
No radiation, it was like 6 big chemo treatments that were about 3 weeks apart, and that ended in January. But then there was another chemotherapy drug that I had to continue to take for a whole year.
Okay.
And also in that time span, I had 3 surgeries. 2,
Were the actual removal?
Well, it was mastectomy, reconstruction, and then I had hysterectomy as well, like prophylactic hysterectomy.
Oh, I see. Okay, make sure you got everything out that could possibly.
Yeah,
so it doesn't spread later, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm learning more and more here in the last few weeks about cancer and the different types of treatment. And Dr. Sachs was pretty informative, so that helped. What do you think was a big part of in how Mary Bird was able to give not only your actual treatment, but all the other bits and pieces of your day-to-day travel? So how many times a week would you go up there and have your treatments?
I was like on a 3-week cycle. Like I would get my treatment on like a Monday of that week. I would have to go back another day that week to either get fluids or there was like a shot of some sort. And I know it's been 10 years, so part of me like tries to pack it away.
But for that year, you were up there a lot, right?
At least, twice a month or more, for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I know some of the treatments he told me about before were there a couple times a week, right, for a year or more.
Right.
Obviously, that building and those people become family.
They do.
Right, so really close at heart. So, okay, well, thanks for sharing that. So you're 10 years, is it actually right at 10 years, or we just passed 10 years? So when's the anniversary?
The anniversary is actually like September 11th.
Okay, so this year will be 10 years. So that's a pretty big milestone.
Well, it was 10 years this past September.
Okay.
You go by your diagnosis date.
Not when you was, okay, gotcha.
Right. So,
So full remission, is that the term? Are you saying that right?
Yeah, it used to be like once you got to 5 years, you were considered cured and everything. I don't know. When you dealt with cancer, I think it always lingers.
Sure.
And there's no such thing as like, just because you made it past 5 or 10,
it can still come back.
Yeah. There's so many things. So, but I'm grateful to have made it to 10 years without any incidents. I mean, it's scary. And I do go back every year for a visit with Dr. Socks. He likes to check in. He said he will follow me forever.
Yeah.
Because I told him, I was like, I thought I was going to graduate from you at 10 years. He's like, no, you never graduate.
You're stuck.
Yeah, which it's fine because he's wonderful. But.
Amazing human being. Okay. Well, good. That's awesome news. That's very inspiring, I think, for people to hear and know where the money is going, what they're doing can help contribute. Some people are less fortunate in the sense of finances and travel, all the little bits and pieces that the philanthropy department handles for some people. It's an amazing story that they told there. But I think sometimes those are the bits and pieces that people on the outside looking in don't really know or think about, because you're just like, oh, if you get cancer, you go here and they help you. But you don't think about all the other random pieces. What if they don't have insurance? What if their insurance only covers 50% or 20% or whatever? How does the other things get paid for or dealt with that you don't have to think about or stress out about, right? So those, I think all those other little pieces for me kind of tie it in of like, okay, well, I do see where it's going to take a lot of money to support that just for just the local area, but imagine if you multiply it multiple times over parishes and states. So it does.
I like to think they try to take care of the whole person. Like, sure, you know, talk about the chemotherapy and the radiation, and like that's like how you get cured, right? Yeah. In the surgery, but you're also a human. You know what I mean? And even if you have insurance sometimes and it doesn't cover everything, like if you're short on your light bill. Or there was a story they told recently about a lady who had been undergoing treatment. She was a pre-K teacher, and those are the best humans ever. Pre-K and kindergarten teachers, they're like angels on this earth, honestly. But she was having a hard time, and one of the social workers called her up close to Thanksgiving and said, do you need a turkey? Yeah. And she's like, I do. She didn't know how she was going to put Thanksgiving dinner on the table. Like, it's those kind of things, because like this is just as much a mental battle as it is a physical one, and it's knowing that there are people looking out for you and trying to cover all your bases and make sure you can get there, you feel fully supported and capable to put your best foot forward, so to speak, to fight, you know? Yeah,
so you can keep that at your forefront of, okay, this is what I'm doing.
Right.
You don't have to worry about all the other stuff.
Right.
Wow. That's inspiring. I think for me, you know, while I was talking to Dr. Socks, it was all starting to click too, with like how relatable this is for everybody. Used to be, I feel like 10 or even 20 years ago, you heard about a few people. Or you might have a distant cousin that had a diagnosis, but like now, it's either in your immediate family or one generation away, right? A cousin or someone has had it. So it's 1 in 4, 1 in 5 people now. So everybody that's going to give will probably give from a place of their heart, because they've had it in their family too, which isn't what we want, but it's very easy to relate with like, hey, we've been through that too. Let's help give back.
Or I've known someone close to me. I know. I mean, it could be your coworker, a family member down the road. I mean, someone in your church, like. Everybody knows somebody.
And if it hasn't, it could be coming soon, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Or God forbid, see people that get it multiple times. Or Dr. Sock shared his story where he found out a year ago. He, was like, man, it doesn't discriminate in any way. It will touch everybody's lives. So, okay. How can you explain a little bit about how you went from that? So fast forward a few years. We're 5 years, this is the 5th year for the Bourbon Raffle, correct? So 5 years ago, or just shy to 5 years ago, where did the idea start to do something? Yes. And then how did it turn into being a Bourbon Raffle?
Gotcha. So actually, when we met Erica and I started working with her, one of our first tasks was to put together a council of volunteers to help with events and fundraising in the area. And one of our first events was actually yoga in the park. It used to be at Kate Square. This was like the first year that it didn't happen. But that was kind of us dipping our toe into like an event in Hammond to raise money. And it was great, like the screening van would be there to do like skin cancer checks. And it was like a full-fledged community outreach event plus fundraising. Well then, I mean, if you recall, 5 years ago, COVID came into our lives. And I mean, of course, it caused havoc in many areas, but Erica's like, what are we going to do? And we can't do an in-person event. What are we going to do? I was like, I don't know, but we'll find something. And I happen to be, good friends with the Simses. I'm sure you know Dustin and William, but Dustin is also a very big volunteer and gives back to many organizations in the community. So her and I like to brainstorm about this kind of stuff anyway.
Okay. And
we were having a conversation, and she's like, William has been doing a lot of these bourbon raffles, and they raise like a good bit of money. I'm like, okay. And I looked into a local one that was in Baton Rouge, and when I saw they raised $75,000, I'm like, wait, what?
This is serious.
This is crazy. I was like, Yoga in the Park used to raise 12. We thought, if we could raise 15, 20, we would be ecstatic.
Yeah. And
so we took off to try and plan this thing with no previous. I have no knowledge
or experience.
Nothing.
Just right in.
And I really just thought it was going to be so easy. You just ask people for their bourbon, obviously. Well, that was not how it went.
Not exactly.
But it was so much fun hunting it and getting it all together. We learned so much, and we ended up raising over $75,000 that first year. The first year.
Amidst COVID. Wow.
And I thought it was a fluke, honestly. I was like, there's no way this will happen again next year. There's no way. And it's grown just about every year. So this bourbon community is wild and so generous and so supportive. And the relationships and friendships we've built, that means just as much to me as the money we've raised, because that's doing so much good. But these people have such generous hearts, and I love seeing it all play out. It's gorgeous.
It's amazing. So 75 just the first year. Each year you feel like it's going up a little bit. Obviously you have the numbers to support that.
The second year was over 100. The third year is over 100. Last year was 95, 96.
Okay. Slight dip?
A slight dip, but we had the Easter holiday it was just the way it fell.
Yeah.
Jenni King also had their big convention in the middle of it, and they are really instrumental in doing a lot of the things the back end stuff for the raffle. So but this year it has to be 120. That's what I'm shooting for, because if we raise 120 this year, we will have raised total $500,000 in this 5 years we've been doing.
5 years, 500,000.
Yes.
Awesome number.
It is.
That's
right?
a great goal. That's huge.
It would be wonderful.
Let's push it there for sure.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the route. Can you explain a little? I think most people that have clicked on the website or went to donate at this point probably kind of hit the gist of okay, here's the bottles. The night of the raffle, it's going to be live on Facebook, correct?
It is, yes.
How does it work in the sense of all the bottles? Most people have probably seen the live, and you see all the bottles lined up. And there's also some grand prizes that you do if you buy 100 or more. Can you explain a little bit of that, 100 or more?
You want me to start with I'll start with the night of.
Sure, yeah.
So Jenni King has this really great training room that's kind of stadium style.
Yep.
And we take up just about every bit of those desks, putting all the bottles out. And when you're watching live, you can see the whole room. We start at the back and we work our way down. Chance usually announces the winners. Eric and I take turns pulling the winners. We get some bourbon history and education throughout the night. We have some of our wonderful bourbon club representatives come and actually do some intense education on those top 10 prizes as we're announcing. So that's really fun. But what we do different is that we do a golden ticket raffle. I think we put that in place maybe our second year. Anyone who buys $100 or more in tickets at any time throughout the period, and whether you bought 20 here and 40 there and then another whatever, if you bought at least $100 in tickets, we put your name into the golden ticket raffle.
Okay.
And that is drawn the morning of, because we cut off ticket sales at midnight the night before.
Okay.
We pull that name the morning of, and that person will get to have first dibs of the raffle prizes outside of the top 10. So they don't get, the top 10 is reserved for the big raffle, but they get to come and pick whatever prize they want before the raffle that night.
So they're notified that day.
Mm-hmm.
They show up in theory,
Or you call, or yeah.
Like, hey, this is what we have outside of the top 10.
Yeah.
They can pick what they want.
Yes.
That's pretty
And
cool.
I mean, we have awesome top 10 lineup every year, but we have awesome things in general. So
yeah.
You can walk away with something very cool.
Yeah, I spent several hours last night looking at all the bottles for the edit for this, and there's some really good bottles. Yeah.
There's some interesting things.
And some very interesting, some really good club picks, some score picks, some really special bottles, even outside of the top 10. But the top 10 are also really awesome. We're going to talk a little bit about those, a few of those. We have the Pappy lineup.
The Pappy lineup, yeah. We also have the full set of Blantons, which I know a lot of people. All the letters spells Blantons. We have the E.H. Taylor flight. We have a 4-bottle flight. I'm sure I'm probably not using the right lingo. Flight is exactly the right word for that, but
they call it a vertical.
A vertical.
Yeah,
yeah.
Okay.
We also have a 3-bottle trio that I think I need to get added.
Additional though. Yeah, I think there's 2 extra ryes, right?
Right.
Yeah.
What else? We have this really cool bottle. I need to move it up to the top 10 because I think it belongs there. It's called Orphan Barrel Rhetoric 25 year. Literally, you cannot buy that anymore.
No, it's impossible to get now.
It's impossible.
Pretty amazing.
Pretty amazing. There is going to be a William Heavens Hill 11 year.
Mm-hmm. Distillery only release?
A distillery only release that, when I Googled it, I mean, that bottle was worth a couple $1,000s.
Yeah, and really tasty.
Really tasty. There you go. That's also important, I guess. Yeah,
super important. Hopefully people are opening these bottles and consuming them and enjoying them at some point.
Yes.
Also saw, which I'm a huge fan of, the Four Roses single barrel proof.
Oh my gosh.
All 10 recipes. And the kit, the little sample kit.
Well, and did you see that the Four Roses is the master distiller picks?
Yes.
It took Brent 2 years, he said,
to get those particular ones.
Those
are
those are special.
I'm those too, so those are difficult. I know, first thing.
But it's 9 bottles. No, 10 bottles.
It's 10.
10 bottles and one prize. That's another thing I think
that's
cool.
also unbelievable. Most people don't think I could just get one of those. No, if your number's called and that's the one that's picked, you get that whole lot.
Right. And we always hope it's a local, not to say, because we do have a lot of people out of state that buy, and Jenni King pays for shipping. Not insurance, but shipping. And we're always ooh, hope the multiple bottles go to a local person because, we get worried about shipping.
Well, then you don't, because if it breaks, it's the worst.
You're right.
For sure. Okay. Yeah, some really good prizes for an amazing cause. I mean, could there be a better cause? So, so what's the local or the recent term we were using at the golf tournament about cancer? Do you hate cancer?
Oh, do you hate cancer? Love bourbon? Both? There you go.
Yeah,
There's your reason. There's no reason,
no reason not to give.
Yeah, not to give.
Unless you love cancer.
Unless you love it.
Do you hate cancer and love bourbon? Or you don't even have to love bourbon, really, because you probably have a family member that might.
Right. They make great gifts.
They are amazing gifts.
Yes. Or like I said, if you win one of these crazy, wild, unicorn-esque bottles, I mean, maybe you can get some of your kids' tuition paid. I don't know.
You could. There's secondary market is frowned upon, but it is not illegal. So if you decide you want to resell those and make a little money, that's up to you. You want it fair and square, but give to a great cause. Deadline is 23rd at midnight.
23rd at midnight.
23rd at midnight. So we have a few, 2 weeks-ish?
2 weeks-ish. We like to do some fun little games and giveaways throughout the raffle period. So it's really important to follow us on Facebook so you can always be in the know about those things. We just recently did a fun little Bourbon Madness bracket, kind of a March Madness style thing, and gave away a bottle of Blanton Single Barrel.
That was fun.
I know. I mean, we love
just
to get the
interaction.
Your favorite. Yeah. So there's always things like that I encourage people to play along with. Keeps it fun and interesting. And you never know what we're going to come up with. We like to be creative and do fun stuff.
Clever, fun. Yeah, for sure. So if you guys already haven't done so and you're on Facebook, go ahead and like and subscribe to the group, the Mary Bear Perkins Bourbon Raffle group. Mm-hmm. Also follow Jenni King. It's the Jenni King Gulf Coast, is that correct?
Jenni King Gulf Coast, yeah.
Which is a huge contributor to this entire process. They're hosting the actual bourbon raffle itself here in Ponchatoula, Louisiana, which are huge contributors. You want to thank anybody from the Jenni King side as well?
Of course, Chance. Chance has always been like the biggest hype man and cheerleader for this. Always pushing me when I don't want to be pushed, but helping us reach those, tremendous goals. Of course, my husband JJ, he keeps me sane throughout this whole process and organized. Yes. Yeah. And then they're a wonderful marketing team. We have Lily and Kaylin. A lot of the awesome videos and things you see are because of them. Then you have Jason and Kyla and everyone here that helps get the raffle night itself set up and going off without a hitch. And so it's really a whole team event, and they do a wonderful job.
A couple of sponsors.
Yes. So Boning's Market, John Boning. When John Boning came on board, it changed the whole game for us, having a retailer.
That's huge.
We were hunting and
trying to get some special.
It was hard. I'm not gonna lie, it was hard. And we never quite knew what we were gonna have. Hoping that we would have some really cool things. But John has come through and made this raffle even better with the quality of things that he's been able to help us get. And he actually donates, so yay.
Awesome.
And then Go Fight Physical Therapy, Jen Calais and her team, they are in Covington, actually right down from Mary Bird, but they specialize in physical therapy for cancer patients, and they are phenomenal. And then we also, Bionic Monkey and Guarantee Media has been our media partners in helping us spread this far and wide across the Gulf Coast on the radio.
Yeah, those guys are killing it. Great personalities. I watched them
gosh.
last night on a couple of their things that they posted for you guys. And super cool as well.
They're fun.
Yeah, and then the Jacmel connection.
Jacmel, yes, we hosted a bourbon donation dinner there. It was super nice. Of course, our bourbon clubs. We have the Original Bourbon Club, BXL, Social, Louisiana Bourbon Collective. These guys donate, individually and as clubs. And again, that's why we have such cool things. A lot of those barrel picks and everything.
So awesome.
It's awesome that all of these bottles are, 99% of them are from personal collections. Do you know what I mean?
No, it's huge. It's a little mix of corporate, but a lot of personal bottles.
So it's special to them. We have so many bottles that are cancer themed too.
That's cool too, right?
I love that. Yeah.
Sugar-filled spirits, the Cancer Socks one, and I know they did the Jack Daniels one, which is a really good one as well. Yeah, there's some really good ones out there for sure. Oh, cool. Do you have anything else you want to share? If not, we'll probably wrap this up.
No, I'm okay.
Well, cool. All right. Well, stay tuned. Please give as much as you feel your heart will desire or your pocketbook will allow. And then don't miss the live to see if you won, or just to see how it goes. Understand what all this is all for and about. So also we will follow this up with the Mary Bird Perkins tour of the actual hospital where we met Dr. Socks and went through the actual process of what treatment looks like and the day-to-day stuff that cancer patients will have to go through or have to endure. But more importantly, the team that's there to actually guide them through that and help them through that process. So this will be a multi-part, probably a two episoder here. So, all right, that's it from Dylan and Jenni.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.